Social isolation is becoming an increasing problem around the world since the COVID pandemic. A new study published in JAMA shows that while the problem is growing in every part of the world, social isolation is reaching especially high levels in low-income nations. The study's authors say governments and health officials need to take action about this growing crisis before it gets worse. And September is Suicide Prevention Month, and as we consider this heavy topic, we also need to pause to examine the role of loneliness as a contributing factor to negative mental health. Caitlin Skaggs is the National Director of Marketing and Communication for Stop Soldier Suicide and joins us in studio to discuss why, even if you feel lonely, you are not alone. I think that's a great message. Caitlin, great to have you on the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Such an important topic.
It is, yeah, and it's somebody that works within the suicide prevention space. Tell us a little bit about the importance of dedicating a month to suicide prevention.
Well, it opens the doors to conversations that I think sometimes feel maybe frightening or uncomfortable to people, but if we don't talk about it, we can't expect to put solutions in place. And what we're talking about is life and death here. Truly, there are lives hanging in the balance. So we need to at least pause for 1 month, I argue longer, but at least 1 month to open up the door and have those honest conversations, examine ourselves and ask ourselves, what can my role be in a positive solution moving forward?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so we talk a lot on this show about community connection, relationships, all sorts of things, you know, as far as like connecting with people, putting down the phones, you know, and talk a little bit about how that affects our mental health, you know, and having good conversations with people.
Sure. I think to start with, let's highlight the opposite, right? The negativity of isolation, as you mentioned, of loneliness. The Surgeon General put out a report in 2023 and indicated extreme loneliness is as detrimental as smoking 15 cigarettes in one day.
Wow.
I think that's really eye-opening of just how significant it is. Now, knowing that prompts us to ask, well, if that's true, then the opposite should be really redemptive and healing and restorative, connection, a sense of belonging. So as we lean into that, we are coming together, we're meeting that basic need that each of us has, just like we need food, water, rest, we need connection with other people. We need a sense of belonging.
Yeah. So how do we do that? How do we ensure that we're having good connections? You know, because there can be, you know, the superficial, the hellos, you know, in the grocery store, but we're talking about real deep connections, right? How do we do that?
I liked what you said earlier about putting the phone down and not letting technology be an imitation or a substitute for the real thing. I think even eye contact, as silly as it sounds, like getting out from behind screens and Zoom meetings and phones and actually looking the people we care about in the eyes and having meaningful time with them. So meaningful time doing things that we enjoy together, meaningful time outside in the sunshine, which is also great for our mental health. But it's about so much more than superficial check-ins. It's really about holding space, holding time to ask how someone is really doing, and then creating positive moments together too.
Yeah, we talked the last time you were here, and I love that we're talking about this because we were talking to a woman who was severely depressed, was really isolated, and then she got help, and the one thing that helped her was helping others. Yeah. And I think that that's important too, and that's a way that we can connect with others, is to give back. You know, find a place in your community that needs help, and that's a way that you can connect with people.
It absolutely is, and I do love how the two conversations really piggyback well off each other, that in that meaningful connection we can find giving back as a way to do exactly that. And then as we serve others, we see sometimes beyond our own pain, which is really hard to say out loud and to think about, that sometimes we're in pain, we just kind of want to sit in it.
Yeah.
But actually when we're able to move through it and find that meaningful connection with others, find how when we give back, we bring value, that creates that sense of belonging. Wow, they needed me today. I volunteered and I made the group better for it. That's when we start to feel like, wow, I do matter. And actually everyone does matter. That's important to acknowledge, that every person does have worth and every person does belong, even if sometimes they don't feel like it. Just feeling like you don't belong does not make it true.
No.
And I think that's so important for folks to hear. You know, we need them here.
Right.
We need them here.
Absolutely. And everyone has a gift to give the world, right? We all have that light. There's something within us that lights us up, that we do have a purpose. So we just have to find out what that is. And sometimes it just means just to get out there and being intentional about, going out and giving back. So if somebody's sitting at home feeling lonely, isolated, that they don't matter, what would you say to them? What's the message?
Well, the message is you absolutely do matter. We need you here. There are people that want you here. I would say that everyone has gifts and talents to give, and people that care about you. And just because in this moment it doesn't feel like that's true, it is true. And I do believe that there's another side to this. On the darkest days and the hardest moments, there is another side, and folks can get there. And there's resources like 988, counselors, faith communities, churches. There's so many ways to get involved and find your sense of belonging. So hang in there, and you'll be to the other side of it. I believe it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yes, I know this is just a moment in time.
Yes.
Yes, it's not forever. The 988 is critical, that if you are in crisis, definitely contact that 988 number. Caitlin, thank you so much for being here as always. We
Yeah,
certainly appreciate it.